It's 10 o'clock and time for the council to be in session. We have one member present. We need 9 more for a quorum.
This helicopter story's gotta go. Oh, Goldberg. We've heard it.
It's the files over right together.
the council will please come to order. Call the roll.
Alatorre, Bernstein, Shakespeare, Galante, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, with Thomas, Swornich, Wax, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, let me point out that this is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 14th day of April 1999. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. The first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas moves, Mr. Savornich seconds. If there's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
If there are no objections, unanimous vote. The next item.
Before beginning the regular agenda, Mr. President, you have item number 8, a request to continue that until April 16th. That would be Friday.
Is there any objections to that? Seeing none, item number 8 is continued until Friday. Next item.
And also, item number 35, you have a request from Councilmember Bernstein to withdraw the item from agenda and refer it to Planning Department.
What item?
Item number 35.
Item 35, withdraw from and refer to planning. Is there any objection to that? Seeing none, that will be the order. Item 29, that should go to committee to deal with the budget. Yes, please. Mr. Alatorre moves, so there's no objection. That will be the order. 29. No, that's some building and safety. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items for required public hearing items, items 1 through 6.
We have somebody that wants to be heard on 1. We'll call that special. And 5 and 6. We have 2, 3, and 4 ordinances. We'll wait for the till we have 12 members present. So let's move on to the.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 7 through 16.
7 through 16. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on any of those items? 7 through 16. These are a public hearing. Are there any specials by council members?
Item 7.
7 is called special.
And you also wanted to go 12.
Any other specials?
12.
12 is called special. Any others? If not, let's see, we have ordinances, so we'll hold those. So we have 13, 14, 15, 16. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Forthwith on item 16. Okay, the next group.
Next items, Mr. President, items 17 through 38, items for which public hearings have not been held.
17 through 38. We have cards on 34. We'll call that special. Anybody want to be heard on any of those items? 17 through 38. I'm asking for a public hearing. Anybody want to be heard on any of those items? On any of the items, if not, the public. We have cards on 34. So any specials by council members? 37 and 38.
Yeah.
Is there any objections to sending 38 to Budget and Finance? Okay, then we'll call it special. Okay, we have,
Mr. President, on item 23, it was my understanding that it should now read to receive and file.
yes, that's the recommendation, the receive and file on 23. So we have 17 through 38 with the exception of, 17 and 18 are ordinances and 20 is ordinance. So we have 19, 20, 22, 23 has been received and filed. 2 reports on 24 concur, 2 reports on 25 concur, and 26. 27 has been previously adopted, so we'll eliminate that. 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 36. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items 39 and 40 are closed session
Yeah,
items.
we'll hold those on the desk.
Item 41 is a continued item from yesterday.
We continued from yesterday.
Yes, Mr. President.
Let's call it special. Okay.
Item number 2. I mean, there's a card on it. But we already voted. Oh, no, we have it because it's a board, huh? Dang it. Okay, so 2. Which one? 2 is in order, 2 and 3 and 4.
Ms. Galanter?
Mr. President, I understand there are some people here who wanted to address the council on the subject of Playa Vista, and I'd like to move that, since it's not on the agenda, this would come up under public comment at the end of the meeting. I'd like to move that we take public comment now out of order in order to hear from
Any objections to the public comment period at this time? Seeing none. All right, we have Reverend William Campbell, then Tom Walsh.
It has to be.
Reverend William Campbell, did you want to be heard? Tom Walsh? Madeline Janice Aparicio? Anthony Thingpen? Well, we'll hold them on the desk for the time being, and we'll go move ahead with the agenda. And the next item,
Item number 1, you have cards.
Item number 1, you know, Jerry Schwartz and Tom Gilmore. Judy?
Judy, yes. Good morning, President Ferraro, fellow council members. I just wanted to let you know, you have our correspondence. I wanted to let you know that CCA is very strongly in support of this ordinance. We've been working closely with the planning department and with building and safety and with the CRA. We believe this ordinance will really help in the revitalization of downtown. It will also take care of some of these historic buildings and buildings built before 1974. We'd like to see them fill up again. Thank you.
Okay, Tom Gilmore?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Tom Gilmore. I'm a local developer in the historic core of downtown. We're working on some historic buildings. I urge you to support this resolution, and thank you for your cooperation.
Okay. Anyone else on that item number 1? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any discussion on item number 1? All right, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Item number, let's see, we have 3 and 4, we don't have any cards in their ordinances, and we have 9 and 10 and 11, no cards, 17 and 18, no cards. Prepare the roll on those ordinances.
Oh my God.
Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Those are approved. And now we have item number,
Also, 20 was an ordinance.
item 20. Yeah, we include that in that group. Okay, item number 2, we have Christy Tuffy. Chris Tufty.
Chris Tufty.
Yeah.
And I'm a homeowner on Arbolada, and I support that the turnaround be approved. And I understand there was a meeting or a ballot of homeowners, and I'm not sure who voted which way or if all of them were there. But it was defeated, and I would like to protest that and have it reactivated. And the reason for this is we had a fire here, and there were so many fire trucks they couldn't even turn around. So my concern is that there is ample space for the city to bring its vehicles in and out in the event of an emergency, or if just for regular trash collection and all that.
Okay. This is in my district. Let me point out that this was not voted in by the people involved, and we have to wait a year before we can start it again, and I think that's as of February, so there's nothing we can do. We cannot overturn the Prop 218.
I see. What do I do in a year from now, or February?
Huh?
What happens next?
And we can start the process over, and you gotta go out and convince. I know it only was defeated by one vote, so you gotta go out and convince a few of those people to vote yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, then the item number 2 is an ordinance to abandon, so prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Who are you looking for?
Item number 5, you have a card.
Item number 5, we have AG Nuance.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Al Nunez. I live at 1540 West 22nd Street, and I am here to protest the approval of a conditional use permit allowing Earl Scheib to open up a paint shop at 2130 South Vermont Avenue. This lies basically within a commercial corridor extending 2 miles from Jefferson Boulevard to Washington Boulevard. You've all been handed some booklets. If you will raise the first blue tab, this contains the documentation for the appeal. It's important to note here that during that appeal, the people that had approved the conditional use permit stated after they had seen this particular booklet that I have handed out to you that they did not really know that the conditions existed as they do both along Vermont Avenue and with the Earl Scheib other locations. I'd like to ask the lady that actually approved the application stated that she wasn't aware of the situation that existed there. So it occurred to me that many of the people that are involved in this decision-making process are not aware of the conditions that exist. So that's why I'm here today, just to show you what we have in our neighborhood. If you'll go to the third blue tab, you will see homes in our neighborhood. They are non-pretentious homes, but they're neat and clean and comfortable. The next page shows you the improvements that have come into our neighborhood. There's a lot of money been spent by private enterprise and business people to improve the area. The first is a new auto parts store along Vermont Avenue. You will see a restaurant on the second page. There are private schools. We also have at 24th and Vermont remodeled buildings that have been remodeled. To give you a more modern look and a clean look in the neighborhood. We have a taco restaurant on the corner of Adams and Vermont, a theater on 24th Street, and most of all, the new Ralph's Market complex at Vermont Avenue and Adams Boulevard. This has had a tremendous impact on upgrading our area. On the fourth tab, you will see that along the 2-mile corridor extending from Jefferson to Washington Boulevard, there are 15 existing automotive uses along that corridor. The first page shows what the aspect of Vermont Avenue is and the impact that these businesses have on Vermont Avenue and the community around it. We live there, we see this every day.
Okay.
The next page shows unkept sidewalks, overgrown landscaping, cars that are in process of being painted, repaired, line the streets. The next page shows basically the intersection of the 10 freeway and Vermont Avenue. There's a building there called the Electric Service Company. They have trash stacked up on the corners. There are shops, as I said before, that are working on shops. All of these views are visible from the street. None of these pictures were taken from inside the complexes. The next page shows a smog check station, unmaintained, trash, cars littering the lots. The next page shows some of the trash and junk cars, used tires that are stacked along Vermont Avenue, totally unkept. And the last page shows a upholstery shop on 22nd Street and Vermont Avenue. This is directly across the street from 2130 Vermont, where Earl Scheib proposes an auto paint facility. The intersection of the 10 freeway and Vermont Avenue has 4 corners. On 2 of those corners, there are already automotive uses. The other is a church and school. Now, if Earl Scheib goes in, we will have automotive uses on all 3 corners of that intersection. This is the gateway to our community in West Adams and Vermont. The next page shows pictures of Earl Scheib paint shops. There are 4 of them. They show cars in various states of repairs, trash littering the premises. The next page shows graffiti-covered buildings, garish signs.
You have to bring this to closer.
I'm almost through, sir.
Fine,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay.
And garish signs. What we are asking here is that I'm representing ANNA, the Adams Normandy Neighborhood Association. We ask only that you vote in consideration of the residents of the neighborhood. At other hearings, the only reason I believe that this was approved was because of a letter from Mr. Mike Hernandez's office asking approval. Mr. Hernandez, I ask you to look at the pictures and vote your conscience. If you wish your people to rise above themselves, give them the environment that they need to do so.
All right. Very good, sir. Thank you. All right. Anybody else want to be heard on this item? Public comment? Not public comment period is closed. Anybody want to be heard from the council? If not, open the roll, close the roll.
11 ayes.
All right. Item is deemed adopted. Next item.
Item number 6, you have a card.
All right. Item number 5. Is it 6? Yeah. All right. We have many cards. All right, why don't we start On item number 6, Roger Diamond, followed by Ernest Sanchez, followed by Michael Clinton. All right. Nice to see you, Mr. Diamond.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. It's significant. Today is April 14th. Yesterday was an election, and tomorrow everybody pays taxes.
Yeah.
We're asking you.
I'll talk to her as soon as I get up.
We're asking you to vote to save the taxpayers' money. Last month, you paid $400,000 in legal fees because you adopted an unconstitutional ordinance a number of years ago. Unfortunately, there's never a close connection between action that city politicians take and money that they cost the taxpayers, because usually there's no direct link. I ask you very importantly to listen to this case. I know a lot of you are listening to your staff and not paying attention, but it's a very important case. This is a case involving my client who looked long and hard to find a location in the city of Los Angeles that met the zoning requirements for an adult cabaret, because the city has an ordinance that says you can't be within 500 feet of a church, a park, a residence. He found such a location. He spent a lot of money opening up his facility, and on November 20, 1996, the police department issued a permit for this location. It was Wednesday, November 20th, 1996. Councilman Hernandez, for political reasons, wanted to take the permit away. So 2 days later, on November 22nd, 1996, he introduced a resolution asking you to rescind the permit that was issued 2 days previously because some of the people in the area objected to nude dancing. You then, the city council...
All right, excuse me, sir.
Excuse me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would appreciate, especially our staffs, if they could please keep it down. They want to talk, they can talk outside.
Thank you very much, Councilman Alatorre. On November 22nd, the City Council voted to rescind the permit that the Police Commission had just issued 2 days before. It was a blatant violation of the Constitution. Federal court issued an injunction. The place opened. The police department issued citations because the place opened allegedly without the permit that the federal court said should have been issued in the first place and should not have been rescinded. Those citations led to dismissals by the city attorney. The place opened, and it's been operating ever since. However, people in the community still protested. So in July of 1997, the city received a letter from the neighbors claiming all kinds of violations were occurring at the premises. However, the police department, in particular Captain Gonzalez of the Hollenbeck Division, reviewed the matter, and on October 23, 1997, Captain Gonzalez of the police department wrote a letter, and this is in your file, I hope you read it, where he said, Hollenbeck Vice has thoroughly investigated the industrial strip in an undercover capacity. The strip has been checked numerous
All right,
times.
excuse me.
Yes.
Look it. I'm going to ask you to please step out if you're going to talk, okay? Please.
We're entitled to a hearing before the full council. We'd like to be heard here. Hollenbeck Vice has thoroughly investigated the industrial strip in an undercover capacity. The strip has been checked numerous times for any crimes or problems related to alcoholic beverage control, prostitution, lewd conduct, and juvenile activity, and found none. The captain of the Hollenbeck Division found no violations after the neighbors were complaining of violations. The reason they were complaining is that they didn't want the facility in the first place. And Councilman Ferraro, congratulations on your victory. I know that because you won yesterday, you're going to listen very carefully to this and not be interrupted by Councilman Bernson. This is really frustrating. It's really frustrating. It's just not fair. And the public perception is that you don't really care about people who come down here. It's bad public relations. At least pretend that you're listening.
All right, Roger, look it. You better keep on going because I'm going to cut you off.
Okay, well,
So let's do it.
Okay. In any event, when the police department still pursued this matter, they claim that there's been a number of arrests at the location for lewd conduct. Every case has resulted in a dismissal. There's not been one conviction for any crime at this particular location, yet the police department still refer to the original citations that were issued because it allegedly operated without a permit, which is not true. The police department ignores the fact that every case filed by the city attorney resulted in a dismissal. The fact of the matter is the place has been operating as an adult facility at a properly located facility. It's zoned correctly, but some people don't like it. Now, there's no church nearby. There's no home nearby. It's fine. There's no violations going on. Now, the federal court issued an order directing you to pay legal fees. The order was issued in May 14 of 1998. You still haven't paid the legal fees for the prior case. If you vote to uphold the zoning administrator's decision, you're going to cost the taxpayers more money. Why do elected officials insist upon doing that when there's no reason to do so? We urge you to reverse the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals and find that this place is operating in the proper location, far away from churches, schools, and playgrounds. Please, there's no connection between any alleged activity inside the location and anything outside of and outside. And finally, I'd like you to know that the only police activity has resulted from the demonstrators protesting the fact that there's an adult facility there. That's their right to protest, but it's our right to operate because we're operating under the zoning code as it existed when the ordinance was adopted. Please don't make another mistake and cost the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. You paid it out last month, $400,000. Please don't do it for short-term political gains, because in the long term, it costs the taxpayers money. In conclusion, there was a shooting at the location. Not inside, at the street outside. The demonstrators were videotaping everybody going inside the location. Unfortunately, somebody happened to drive by, unrelated to the club, and shoot one of the demonstrators. It's a very sad thing, but how you can blame the club because a demonstrator was shot outside the location by somebody unrelated to the facility is just not fair. It's not fair. We urge you to vote not to adopt the Board of Zoning Appeals decision and not to uphold the zoning variance. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Sanchez. And I'm going to ask that the police department, Mr. Captain Moselle, if you can please step forward and you can give your report after. And I'd like to, yes.
Just a question in terms of procedure. This has been heard by way of public hearing in other instances, has it not?
I understand that.
So any claim or representation that persons haven't been heard or
is incorrect.
Is simply not the case, because this is not the first time that testimony has been given. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Before I ask Mr. Sanchez to speak, could I have maybe have the captain? And you're up next, Mr. Sanchez. Captain Moselle.
Good morning, Councilman and fellow councilmen. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. Hollenbeck area has investigated. We spent 600 hours of investigative time at the Lacey Street Cabaret. It was formerly called the Industrial Strip. We have made over 21 arrests. I think there's 22 arrests we've made there. We spent those 600 hours. Every arrest was filed on by the city attorney's office. It did get into court. We did have some differences of opinions there in court. But every arrest has been filed on by the city attorney's office. We have a great deal of problem in operating the location. I have with me the investigating officer from Hollenbeck Vice unit, also the sergeant in charge of that unit. They have some specific information about the nature of the investigation, nature of the business inside that location. We don't think that it's in the best interest of the city to operate in the manner in which it's been operating. We think that the requirements, the new conditions placed upon it would be appropriate, would resolve a lot of the issues, the criminal issues that are taking place inside. True, there are areas in which you can operate a business that many people don't agree with. There is no area in the city of Los Angeles where you can operate a business with criminal activity, and that's exactly what's been done in this location. Sergeant Shoup can speak to you if you desire, and also my officer.
Go ahead. Sergeant.
Hello, my name is Ronald Shoup. I'm the officer in charge of the Hollenbeck Vice Unit. I came in just prior to the secondary investigation of the Lacey Street Cabaret. You may hear differently, but our investigation into the cabaret in October of 1997 was a result of notification to us by Alcoholic Beverage Control, stating that there was the Lacey Street Cabaret, which is not an ABC licensed location, was planning a party there. It was a private party, advertised as a private party. However, it was open to the public. You had to go to the location, you were required, because we sent our operators in there, you're required to buy a $20 lap dance and pay an entrance fee of $10 just to get this free ticket. We kept in constant contact with the ABC as well as Police Commission, and these are violations. There have been proven to be violations in the past that this is in fact sales of alcohol. We operated that location, I believe it was October 31st, 1997, and made 6 arrests, including the owner, Kevin Wasco. That's what originally brought us to brought our attention to the Lacey Street Cabaret at that time. We initiated an investigation to make sure that it didn't continue, and during that time, we made 13 arrests for lewd conduct of the dancers at that location. They have a approximately a 6-foot chain link fence which surrounds and conceals an area of lap dances, which is where the vast majority of those violations occurred. We sent our operators in from all over the city. I'll turn this over to Officer Barbosa in a few minutes. He has a lot more details. But myself personally, I met along with who is now Captain Mike Moore, who is the OCB Vice Coordinator. We met with the owner, Kevin Wasco, regarding these violations in an effort to obtain his cooperation to stop the violations from occurring. We asked him to remove the fence because that would primarily solve the problem. It would allow us to view those areas where we could not view with the fence there. After the discussion, he said that he understood, but it's a financial issue, and he basically refused to remove the fence, which, in our opinion, would have gone a long way in stopping the lewd conduct problem that was occurring. There's a lot more to tell. I'm going to turn this over to Officer Barbosa, who handled the investigation.
My name is Andrew Barbosa. I was the assigned investigator for the Lacey Street Cabaret investigation, or one of them. As Captain Moselle and Sergeant Shoup had indicated, the Lacey Street Cabaret has been the topic of 2 formal investigations. And I don't want to go over some of the things that they had already discussed, but I think it's important to note that there was virtually no crime reported in the area up until the Lacey Street Cabaret opened its doors for business. We've had reports ranging from a simple battery to attempt murder taken at that location. As far as the ABC investigation goes, this investigation was not initiated by Councilman Hernandez as was alleged, but rather it was brought to our attention by ABC, Alcoholic Beverage Control, once we found out that the Lacey Street Cabaret was going to serve alcohol without the appropriate permits. We also received information that the Lacey Street Cabaret was providing hotel tours from certain downtown hotels in which patrons would be brought to the Lacey Street Cabaret and then provided alcoholic beverages. However, this part of the investigation was never confirmed or dispelled. As far as the lewd conduct arrests, I think it's very important to note that the investigators were not only from Hollenbeck Area Vice, but were from undercover officers from throughout the city, as well as detectives with extensive experience in lewd conduct cases. One detective in particular had over 30 years of experience, and as Captain Moselle had indicated, each and every arrest was filed on by the city attorney. We even brought in SID criminalists who were able to obtain semen samples from within the private lap dance area, which we have here if anybody would like to see the evidence that's obvious. We also received information during this investigation that juveniles were being allowed to perform in the capacity of nude dancers inside. We immediately investigated this allegation, interviewed the juvenile who admitted to performing in the capacity of a nude dancer. She indicated that she made over $100 on one evening in December of 1996, I believe it was. This juvenile went on to say that the owner's wife, or fiancée at the time, led her to the back room where all the dancers get ready to perform, sat her in a chair, and demonstrated on her lap how to perform a lap dance, told her she'd do fine, and told her to get dressed. It's for activity like this and as well as the crime reports and everything else that we believe that the Lacey Street Cabaret presents a clear and present danger to children, not only of the adjacent communities, but communities throughout far-reaching areas. Because essentially, if anybody knows an employee or management of the Lacey Street Cabaret, there's no telling what they're going to do or how they're going to exploit these children. And we have a responsibility to ensure that that doesn't occur. And that's basically it. That I don't want to go over anything that's already been gone over again, so I'll just close with that.
All right, thank you. Members of the council, Mr. Burnson, you said there's been hearings on this. We do have a lot of other people that want to be heard, some in favor and some against.
Well, Mr. President, we did have a lengthy hearing in front of the Plum Committee on this matter, contrary to what was alleged by the representative. I just want to add, if you want to hear from me at this point.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I think that it's important that the full council hear the testimony because we have to make sure it's part of the record.
I'm willing to listen to it if you wish, Mr. Hernandez. I'm just saying.
I just want to make
it
sure
was
that
alleged that we didn't have an opportunity, and they did have a.
All right, we'll ask them to be as brief as possible. Ernest Sanchez, and don't repeat what has been previously said, please.
I'm not going to repeat, but I am going to tell you that all the speakers you have left are in support of the conditions being implied. There was a little bit of confusion of it here when we were filling out the speech cards.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The main point here is that we're looking for a compromise. We're trying to make this strip club a good neighbor. We've been out there 874 days. We've been able to compile a number of violations. We've been able to get videotape, photographs, and witnesses to a number of incidences, and finally we're able to go in front of the city planning and have 20 conditions imposed. And it's been appealed to the commission after that, and then it's been appealed to the Plum Commission after that, and it's been now in front of the council today. He's given every opportunity to his day in court. All I'm looking for is for the council to understand that we have a situation here of truth and fact. The fact is that all those arrests were made and there were no convictions. The truth is those convictions, those crimes did happen, even though the court did not uphold them.
Okay.
The fact is that these people have to be made to be good citizens. They tore up their sidewalk on January 9th, 1997, and it took them 18 months for them to fix that. And in the end, they didn't even fix it. After the city warned them numerous occasions, the city finally had to go in there and clean it up. They have graffiti there that's been there for months before they clean it up. And these conditions that are being put down there are only trying to pull in the reins of this organization to try to make them a good organization and a good citizen.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
I can say support it.
All right, Michael Clinton, and then Mary Quadrille or something like that.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Michael Clinton. I'm the manager of a business called Firemaster, which operates on either side of Lacey Street. I would like to speak on requesting that you deny the appeal, that you impose the corrective conditions. I've spoken to the impact that this business has caused on my property employees, from open containers of alcohol, urination on the building, spent condoms found about the property. These conditions have only improved as a result of the effort of the community in bringing them to hearing, and I would like that to continue by the imposition of the conditions.
Thank you very much. Mary, and then Bill Murray, would you get behind Mary?
My name is Mary Kirardi. I'm a former chair of the Sierra Club Angeles Chapter Council and a member of the Officers of Friends of Debs Park. We're very concerned that if we have to have this in our neighborhood, which we prefer not to, that it do at least be a good neighbor. That's what we want, is we want to support the Planning Commission's regulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Murray and then Charles Wool.
Thank you. My name is Bill Murray, and I'm here as the Vice President of the Montecito Heights Improvement Association.
I'm here to indicate to you that the Lacey Street Cabaret as run does have a negative impact on the neighborhoods that are local to it. And I'm here to show the Montecito Heights Improvement Association's support against the appeal as being presented today by the Lacey Street Cabaret people, and for the imposition of the restrictions that were previously set forth by the Board of Zoning. Thank you.
Martha Vaca would be next.
I'm Charles Wall. I'm with the Self-Realization Fellowship Church. We have a large publications establishment 2 blocks away from the Lacey Street Cabaret. With Councilman Hernandez's help, we're trying to upgrade this area, that is the property owners of the area, create an industrial safety zone. We're trying to upgrade the area. Lacey Street Cabaret promotes morally degrading activities, attracts real nuisances. We feel it's important that the conditions imposed by the zoning administrator be upheld so that these nuisances can be minimized and these attractions minimized as well. Thanks very much.
Martha Vaca and then Harry Schwartz.
Good morning. My name is Martha Vaca, and I am a resident of Cypress Park, northeast of Los Angeles. And I just want to reiterate the fact that Lacey Street Cabaret, formerly known as Industrial Strip Club, and their clientele have become a nuisance to our community. They become a nuisance by having public urination and exposure to the community, having shots fired in 4 different incidents, by patrons and the employees of the club harassing students as they walk to and from school. They become a nuisance by serving alcohol on the premises when they're not supposed to. They become a nuisance by having LAPD spend 600 hours of their time, 2 vice investigations, making 22 arrests that were all filed by the city attorney. They become a public nuisance by having a Clinton Center for Girls not allowing their students to participate in educational programs at the LA Animal Shelter due to its proximity to the strip club. They become a nuisance by increasing the crime in the area that did no longer exist. And these are basic conditions that are set by the BZA, are basic conditions that we as a community hope that are imposed because it'll help them and it'll help our community get
All right,
along.
thank you. Henry Schwartz.
Good morning. My name is Henry Schwartz. I'm a community neighbor in the area. This problem was brought to my attention because my wife's a teacher and I'm very much involved with the schools of the area, and that was our original concern, the impact on our children. There's nothing like being shot at in the name of community service to crystallize your thinking. So I want to say simply here that the central problem of this organization is determination to flout the law. It's brought in kegs of liquor, which have been taken away. It's a structure built for lewd acts. It's brought in one 15-year-old, at least that we know of, to dance on the floor, and it's repeatedly incited violence against the community's observers. We've watched this place simply to see what happened passively, and we've had death threats, we've been assaulted, we've been shot at, and we feel that coming out of a long, deliberate process, the Zoning Commission's determination was extremely fair and reasonable at a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the cards we have, so the public hearing is closed. Mr. Burnson, I'm going to call on you first, then Mr. Hernandez, who is a councilman of the district.
Yes, Mr. President, first of all, let me again say that there was a full public hearing in front of the Planning Land Use Management Committee. So that allegation was untrue, that we did not have an opportunity, they did not have an opportunity to present their case. Second of all, it was obvious to myself and I think the other members of the committee, I'll let them speak for themselves, that there was an obvious attempt on the part of the management of this club to basically thumb their nose at the law. Because there were constant violations, there were things that were recommended, such as the fencing they had, they took the lap dancing behind and so forth, and things of that nature, which is not really what you want to see in I don't care what neighborhood it's in, there has to be, even in adult clubs have certain regulations they have to meet. So the committee felt that imposing these conditions would at least improve the situation. This is one of the steps in the way to to a disqualification of their conditional use permit. All they have to do is abide by the conditions. If they will obey the law, obey the conditions, they can stay in business. It's as simple as that. But if they're going to continue to thumb their nose at the law and to thumb their nose at the city over the conditions that have been imposed, then we will have no other opportunity other than to revoke their conditional use permit. Simple as that. All they have to do is obey the law and obey the conditions, and they'll be fine. So I would urge an approval of the committee report which imposed these conditions by the zoning administrator.
All right, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, you know, I stand here with some real mixed feelings about the voices that we hear from the community. And I needed you to know, Mr. President, when you were talking to Mr. Sanchez, the first speaker, he was actually shot right in front of this facility as a demonstrator. And Mr. Schwartz, when he finished his presentation, he came to committee wearing basically a trench coat that had bullet holes in it. And the reality is the community has been opposing this establishment once its doors opened and has been frustrated because the reality is they have First Amendment rights and they have the right to operate. But it doesn't mean they have the right to break the law. It doesn't mean they have the right to push the envelope. And that's what the investigations have been about. I think LAPD testified that the fact that the ABC brought to their attention the reality that alcohol was going to be served at the facility is part of the reality that we're dealing with. The city is having to expend resources in overseeing this facility because of the pushing of that envelope. The reality is that the patrons who come to the facility because of its location are creating problems in the surrounding community. And that's what the shots were about. That's what the reality is, what happens in the parking lots. That's what happens in the surrounding community because of this establishment being there. What we're trying to do today is set some conditions for them to operate as a business. We're not telling them they cannot operate. We can't do that because of the First Amendment. But we're saying if you're going to operate, let's understand that the Los Angeles Police Department has the right to oversee the kind of activity that's going on in that establishment. And at the same time, the city of Los Angeles cannot continue to spend the kind of resources to make sure that establishment is operating in a legal fashion. When we talk about the fact that people are not being convicted in court, well, when you're dealing with juvenile matters, it goes through a different process. But LAPD, through its officers, has testified before us that there was a juvenile who operated at that facility, and that management encouraged that juvenile. And some of the facts that they presented to us basically have stated that there's been criminal activity at the facility. And so I just wanted to put it in perspective because I think the attorney of the owner wants to say, this is Councilman Hernandez's political agenda. That is not the case. The community is exercising its right to protest against the business that's there, and the patrons that go to that business have created problems in that community. And the business has encouraged some of those problems by trying to push the envelope. And I just wanted to put those facts before us because we're not telling them they cannot operate. We're saying if you're going to operate, you got to do it legally, and these are the conditions in which to do it.
Thank you. Ms. Misakowski.
As the third member of the Plum Committee, I just wanted to reiterate some of the statements that have already been made. I think one had the impression from hearing the advocate, the attorney for the applicant, that by taking this action we were somehow shutting down the operation. That's not the case. What occurred at the zoning administrative level and the Board of Zoning Appeals was based on the testimony provided by the police department, which has been provided again to us today, that certain activities occurred which they believe that if the conditions are imposed as recommended would eliminate those situations where they have found violations of law, criminal behavior, and where they can help the public safety effort to make sure that those kinds of things not continue. They are related to the height of a wall, that no wall can be higher than 48 inches behind which things can go on that the officers can't see, and hours of operation. And the hours of operation are directly correlated to an appropriate time for an adult entertainment, adult cabaret, after the kids have finished walking to and from and through this neighborhood onto their schools and across to the animal shelter where there is some educational opportunity occurring. And so these were perfectly correlated. There's a direct nexus between what the testimony was from the police department and the planning department zoning administrator and the conditions imposed. So I stand with my colleagues on the Plum Committee to say that after the numerous hearings at the zoning administrative level, the Board of Zoning Appeals in Plum, and then again today, that this is eminently reasonable and urge the council's support.
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Mr. President, members of the council, I rise just to simply say that when an elected official and his or her constituents join together with the appropriate public safety departments, namely the police department and the related departments, to bring about a higher level of public safety, the appropriate kind of land use, as well as restoring the level of decency to communities that those communities and neighborhoods deserve, it ought to be applauded. There is no need to apologize for it. That is our job. And Mr. Hernandez, you, as well as those in the First District who are concerned about this happening in the way that ought to happen, deserve our support. And I would urge all of us to be in support of this, because each of us know what it means. Each of us knows what it means to have a situation in our community that doesn't help, but in fact demeans the quality of life and deteriorates the conditions that people want to enjoy. So I would hope that all of us would be resolute in our affirmation of the recommendation of Mr. Hernandez and his constituents.
All right, Mr. Alatorre?
I'd like to move the previous question.
Oh, no, man, I got to speak again.
Okay, Mr. Alatorre moves the previous question, which would cut off debate if there's 10 votes. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
There's 12 votes, so that previous question is held. So we have item number 6 before us at this time. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Members of the council, let me say that I want to congratulate Mr. Wax, Ms. Galanter, Mr. Ridley Thomas, Mr. Burnson,
And Mr. Ferraro.
on their reelection. On their reelection.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The public hearing folks are, I believe, here now, and I think it would be appropriate to have that as Ms. Galanter requested.
Okay, we have Reverend
Right.
William Campbell. 10 minutes. Reverend William Campbell, and then Tom Walsh. And this is a public comment. There's only 10 minutes allowed, so we'd appreciate you being as brief as possible, but make your point known.
Yes, good morning. My name is Tom Walsh. Reverend Campbell will be speaking after me, and we will have a total of 4 very brief presentations. I'm here today to speak on the issue of holding companies accountable to make true investments in our communities when they ask for public subsidies. And by true investments, we mean, among the things that we mean jobs. And not just any jobs, but good-paying jobs. Jobs that provide decent wages and family benefits. And that we want these jobs to benefit those communities that need it the most. And not only that, but we need a firm commitment from the companies that come to this city to ask for money. We need a commitment that they are going to follow through with their promise. Unfortunately, we have an example, a recent example, of when a developer made that commitment to you and to us, and then they reneged. And I'm referring to the developers of the Staples Arena. As you may know, we represent the food and beverage workers at the Great Western Forum in Inglewood. Those people who serve the pretzels and serve the sodas. And we were given the commitment that when our members would be losing their jobs because the Lakers and the Kings will be transferring downtown, that they would be guaranteed jobs in this new arena that will provide many more jobs, and that those jobs would provide at least the same level of wages and benefits as is the standard in downtown Los Angeles. And unfortunately, the commitment that we got was not good enough, and they are reneging on that. So we come to you today to say that let's learn from our experiences, and let's have a more firm commitment before we approve money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Campbell. Reverend Campbell. Okay.
I'm clearly not Reverend Campbell, but was asked to speak second. Madeline Janice Aparicio. I'm here as the Executive Director of the LA Alliance for a New Economy, and obviously we've worked with you over the past several years to try to work on this issue in a really positive way, to try to come up with ways where we can get more from the city's investment in terms of living wage jobs, but also, as you know, we've recently released the first in a series of studies looking at what we actually have gotten in return, and I think we're at a moment of opportunity where we can really think, for example, with the Playa Vista development, with DreamWorks, on what kind of new creative ways can we get even more for our youth, for our communities. So just urge you to look on this situation with Playa Vista and other subsidies like it as an opportunity for us to work with a lot of creativity in the community and come up with new ideas for how to get access to jobs, good job training, as well as good jobs. Thank you.
I'm still not Reverend Campbell, but he's coming.
Okay,
He's next.
Reverend Campbell, finally.
Okay. We appreciate the time today to make brief comments to the council. We're here today because, for two reasons. Tomorrow is tax day, and we thought it was appropriate to think about public subsidies in relationship to tax day. And secondly, because yesterday the council took action to approve the initial track maps for the DreamWorks Playa Vista development. And we know that over the next month or two, decisions will be made about the final conditions on the subsidies. We hope that the city has learned a great deal over the last 3 or 4 years since the beginning conversation around the Playa Vista DreamWorks development. There's now the experience of the Staples Arena, Trizicon, Santa Barbara Plaza, and others to draw upon. We want to acknowledge the leadership of Councilwoman Galanter in trying to figure out issues of how we get return on investment. We think that the Playa Vista commitment of 10% of construction jobs and the announcement last week by DreamWorks to work with the community colleges are beginning steps. But part of the message we want to send today is that these beginning kinds of commitments are not enough by themselves, not nearly enough. So we want to ask the council to consider over the next months 4 specific kinds of commitments we want to make sure happen in return for these massive amounts of subsidies. The first is that we need specific commitments made by DreamWorks and Playa Vista to a workforce development program which involves the community colleges, it involves community-based efforts, and coordinates with the high school multimedia academies. But again, promises to advise are not enough. There needs to be specific commitments to actual programs and commitments of resources to make sure these programs happen. Secondly, there needs to be specific commitments to job access and placement for all the jobs being created by the development, construction, entertainment, service jobs, all the jobs that are on the table. Again, the Playa Vista commitment is a beginning. We would hope and expect that DreamWorks would make the same kind of specific commitment around the entertainment jobs. Because the history of people being trained with no jobs to go to is too clear for us, and this is particularly true of the entertainment industry in terms of access for poor people and people of color. Thirdly, because most of the jobs in the development are going to be post-construction jobs through contractors and subcontractors, it's important that there be specific commitments to good contractor language, a policy of good contractor language. This means policies where workers are ensured being paid a livable wage, decent benefits, and have the right to organize. We would ask both Playa Vista and DreamWorks to commit to a good contractor policy as part of the subsidy package. And finally, having learned from past experiences, and most recently the controversy around the Staples Arena deal, we think it's vitally important that specific accountability measures be a part of any subsidy agreement. This means there needs to be specific vehicles to monitor compliance to agreements, and also clawback mechanisms if agreements and commitments are not met themselves. We want to urge the City Council to make sure that we have a thoughtful and transparent process as we make final decisions around these subsidies. We want to urge the City Council to involve the community and labor as partners in these considerations, and to come up with a precedent for how subsidies should be used that could be a model for the entire city. Thank you.
Okay. Anthony Finpen.
Yeah, well, it's Mr. Thigpen who spoke. I'm the Reverend William Campbell, pastoral associate with the Second Baptist Church of Los Angeles and community outreach coordinator for Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, CLUE. Mr. President, members of the council, I come before you with several concerns related to the issues that have been laid out before you. The first has to do with the issue of corporate and individual responsibility and the issue of sanctions and expectations. Certainly, when individuals receive support a la welfare, which is a subsidy, there are specific requirements of them. They have to sign a contract. If they fail to fulfill the requirements of those contracts, they're sanctioned. If indeed that is expected of individuals and families receiving subsidies from the government, why not that ought to also be expected of corporations receiving subsidies or welfare, as it were, from the government? There needs to be the specific spelling out of what the expectations are that accompany the subsidies, and when there's failure to fulfill those requirements and expectations, there needs to be sanctions, just as there are in terms of the individual and family situation. Secondly, I'm concerned about the issue of credible citizen participation. We've just had an election on yesterday, and we talk about our concern about the turnout, the voter turnout. Voter turnout is supposed to be a reflection of citizen participation. Indeed, in this process, as Metropolitan Alliance, representing a broad base reflection of the citizenry, has participated, the failure to respect that says indeed to the citizenry that your input is not valued. If it's not valued at this level, then how might those same citizens expect it to be valued at the voting booth? I submit to you that one of the reasons that we see people not turning out to vote is because we don't respect them at this level. And so I would say to the council that as you act, that you honor that. Finally, I want to speak to the difference between benevolence and partnership. DreamWorks has done many benevolent things. We commend them for their benevolence, but benevolence is no substitute for partnership. Our request of you is that you would reinforce the sense of partnering with the community by indeed enforcing the kinds of specific requirements that are being asked for. Thank you so very much for your response.
All right. Okay. All right, thank you very much. We have Richard Slauson that wants to be heard. Richard Slauson, you can be seated now if you want. All right. Larry Ross. Larry Ross, the time.
Lawson is here on another item that's on the agenda that we haven't reached.
Yes, I wanted to speak on this as well.
He wants to speak. Okay, Mr. Slauson.
He wants to be heard on item 34.
He wants to be heard on this, too.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm Richard Slauson. I'm Executive Secretary of the Los Angeles Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council, and I want to commend Metropolitan Alliance for their position. We want all of the jobs at Playa Vista and DreamWorks to eventually be union and have contracts so that the employees can negotiate with their employers over wages and benefits. I also want to commend Councilwoman Glanter for the work that she's done, the Building Trades Council, and the construction portion of this project with Playa Vista has already reached an agreement, and all of the jobs will be under union contracts. All of the construction jobs will be under union contracts. Along with that, Playa Jobs has been created to bring more people directly in the targeted communities into construction apprenticeship and into construction project jobs on that project. The Building Trades Councils have been working, the Building Trades Craft Unions have been working with the communities for 60 years now in Los Angeles to build apprenticeship in the community, and we are the community. We have members, both journeymen and apprentices, that live in every community from the city of Los Angeles to the other 83 cities that are in Los Angeles County. So I want to commend the Metropolitan Alliance for pushing to have these future jobs under contract, and also to build a partnership in the community with the community colleges for training for people who need good jobs in Los Angeles. You know, there's an aspect of good jobs versus minimum wage jobs, and that's that it supports the whole community. Not only supports a family member, a father, a mother who are out working to raise their family's property properly, but it also supports the entire community through the tax base, through the taxes that are paid on those better paying jobs. So we're in favor of the City Council looking at these subsidies as well with DreamWorks, and we hope to reach an agreement with DreamWorks as well to have all of the projects out there built 100% union. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Members of the council, the time has expired, but Larry Ross, who is one of our regulars, we'll give him 2 minutes. Mr. Ross, 2 minutes.
Well, my name is Larry Ross, and I will try to be brief as possible today. I will begin by saying once again that knowledge is the possession of no one, but yet it is in the possession of everyone. And the need to be heard is an expression of the desire to be acknowledged and or recognized as a human being with a voice. So let me say again, that which was said last week, the 300+ word language stolen from me during my kidnapping and false incarceration from 1/26/98 till 9/9/98 has the value alone of $1 zillion. That is $1 zillion. Once again, that is $1 zillion. Let me repeat that number, that sum. That is $1 zillion, and not a cent less. Contrary to what may be uttered or has been uttered since the revelation. So to squash any defamatory rumors in circulation concerning he trying to start a riot, the question is, or the questions are, why and how? Reporting continuous crimes, felonious crimes against my family and I doesn't seem to be a crime to me, trying to start a riot. I said, show me a law that prohibits reporting crimes, no matter how hideous, then maybe you will have a legal leg to stand on. And when it comes to crimes such as forgery, fraud, kidnapping, false imprisonment, robberies, illegal transportation, children abuses, and etc., are being allowed to go unchallenged by those who have a legal duty to act, yet haven't, still all evidence points to the truthfulness of the allegation made by self and efforts to defame, frame, and set me up without action being taken. What hypocrisy to act on a lie, an obvious lie, knowing full well the unfounded basis of it.
All right, Mr. Ross, please conclude, because we...
Let me conclude by saying the language is a very important part of my work. The value is $1 trillion, not $1 zillion, not $1 trillion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I have told this council, as soon as I got out of MDC, I believe I reported back here in the same month of September. And from that time onward, I've been reporting how my works have been ripped off by Marvel Comics and DC Comics and others.
Okay, thank
and
you.
Nothing has been done thus far.
Thank you. When you get that, when you get that $1 zillion, don't forget your friends here on City Council.
Don't worry, the City Council are the ones who will be paying a portion of it.
All right, thank you very much. The public comment period is closed. The public comment period is closed. Okay, the next item.
Item number 7, called special by Councilmember Hernandez.
Mr. Hernandez. Item number 7, we do have one person want to be heard, but the public hearing has been held. And I think we've had...
Yeah, Mr. President, I think that we have a report from the city attorney we should get in regards to this item. And I'd like to ask, I guess, Mr. Echeverria, are you going to give the report? Members of the council, when this item came up before the ad hoc committee, I had expressed some questions in regards to a potential conflict, because one of the reviewers of the panel basically participated in the entire process and then declared a conflict at the end of the process. Part of the frustration is the need to get a quality evaluation that has some credibility, and at the same time do it in a way where it's timely and it allows for the data that has to be gathered. And I think, quite frankly, the credibility of the LA Bridges program lies in that evaluation. The frustration has been we haven't been able to have a process that really can claim that credibility. And when I was questioning committee, I knew that council officers were participating as observers. I knew there was 3 panelists that were basically reviewing the applications. They basically deemed 2 of the applications as very competitive with each other. And then at the end of the process, one member declared a conflict. And I'd like the city attorney to basically give us a perception of that process and what we should be doing at this time.
Anthony Alpern, Assistant City Attorney. This problem arose because one of the outside evaluators discovered during the course of the evaluation process that one of the subcontractors to one of the proposals was a person who she had a current ongoing contractual relationship with to provide services to her in connection with other work that she was doing. We learned that if the proposer involved received the contract, that the subcontractor would be able to spend less time on the evaluator's own project than otherwise would be the case. And we've advised that we have a state conflict of interest problem based on provisions of Section 1090 of the Government Code. Like to emphasize that the evaluator involved, we do not believe did anything wrong. You're right, it doesn't matter. But it's worth saying anyway. She had participated in the evaluation of other proposals, and then learned that there was a problem with the next proposal in the line. Let us know what the problem was. We told her not to be involved. She wasn't involved, but still, since she sat on a panel that was reviewing this, the law requires that we do the following: that we go back to the point at which the conflict arose. That is, we should appoint a new evaluation panel, have that evaluation panel review all of the proposals, make its recommendation to the general manager and down the line so that it comes into this council. We think that will cleanse the process.
All right, Mr. Hernandez.
I also wanted to ask a separate question, because it's one question was the evaluation process and how we got there, and the fact that this potential conflict existed. I also wanted to have a clear understanding that as we continue to put these panels together, we had allowed in the process for the one selected to change the basic text of their proposal. Well, weren't we asking them to come back to us with some changes as to how they would meet the contract regulations?
Jessica Hines with the City Attorney's Office. Councilman, what happened, as I understand from staff, is that after they'd gone through the evaluation process and the evaluators had recommended a particular agency, the staff determined there were portions of the proposal that they wanted to fund and portions of the proposal they did not wish to fund. And the RFP contained in it the right to fund portions of the proposal and not others. Staff asked the proposed contractor whether they...
Use the mic, please.
Staff asked the proposed contractor whether they would be willing to only have portion A funded and not portion B. That is not bid enhancement. Bid enhancement is where the contractor goes to staff and says, well, I'm offering to do this extra work or additional work.
Okay,
So
but my understanding was part of those perceptions evolved because of some of the other proposals that were presented and what they were presenting as some of the models.
I think all proposers had to comment on the same modules, and
Right,
staff
and you found strengths in some and weaknesses in others.
right, and staff determined they didn't want to fund a portion of one employee, but they did want to fund another part of the proposal. They did not change, as my understanding from staff, is that they did not change the proposal back. They said, we're going to fund this piece, but not that piece.
Okay, and my understanding, sitting on the committee that was reviewing this, was we were asking for certain amendments of the proposal. I just wanted to make it clear that we weren't asking all proposals to do.
All right, all right, Ms. Goldberg?
Well, my understanding is that there was some communication between CDD and one of the bidders in a letter dated February 5th, which changed substantially the staffing levels, enhanced actually the staffing levels, that one of the contractor that might have been awarded the bid today, were there not a conflict, was actually requested by CDD to enhance its staffing levels. Is that correct or not correct?
I haven't seen the letter you're referring
Okay.
to. However, Councilwoman, at this point, this is a negotiated procurement. It's not a fixed bid.
Okay.
And it is allowable for staff, once they have selected the agency, and as my understanding is that they had already had a recommendation that this was the agency they should negotiate with, it is approved or allowable under the federal regulations to negotiate the final terms of the contract.
But if in fact you're going to have the panel, a new panel, wouldn't it be wise to let all of the bidders be allowed to change in similar ways their bids in terms of enhancing staff? Otherwise, we're going to have one group that's going to a new panel, but already has the advice of the department that's going to award the contract as to how to change their...
Well, it was contemplated that no one would be allowed to change their proposal, that the original proposal only would be evaluated. But one of the things the council could do, if they wished, is to open the time period for 2 weeks to allow anyone to submit and reevaluate everyone and anyone new that would come in, and perhaps that would avoid any problem.
Well, I'm worried about that because I was told that the RFP called for a quantitative evaluation, and that one group, the group that was asked to be negotiated with, actually proposed an ethnographic or qualitative approach, and that then CDD allowed them to modify their design because of this misinterpretation. Now, that sounds to me like a material, if that's true, I don't know if this is true, these are all allegations. But if that's true, then I think we ought to let everybody make the same types of changes before the panel looks at it. That's all I'm trying to say. I just want to make sure that the panel doesn't come in and have one altered or modified proposal and the others not have that opportunity before a new panel sees them. I'm just trying to level the playing field, and the chips may fall where they may.
Mr. President, members of the council, a couple of things seem to me to be important to clarify. First of all, it would be important to say that the issue of the conflict as it is now being characterized was disclosed by the individual said to have the conflict. I think that's very important. At the time that it was inquired about, it is my understanding that the way in which the process took place was acceptable. It is only since that time that it has been determined that it is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to make it very clear that those involved attempted to do what they were told by the city was acceptable. It is now the case that the city attorney's review suggests that there was a conflict. It is also the case that the city attorney has said that there was no bid enhancement involved, as has been alleged. I think we want to have a clean process, and I think we are obliged to accept the committee report pursuant to 7A, that amendment that effectively takes the recommendation of the city attorney forward so that we can get this on track in short order. I would say further that the suggestion of having the new panel look at the originally submitted proposals rather than anything that's altered one way or another by any of those who did propose is the way in which we ought to proceed. And I think those are the instructions that the council ought to give to the panel and ultimately those who will make the recommendation to us to dispose of this item. And I would so move.
Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. President, members, can I just ask, see, I don't think that it matters whether it was discovered, it was said before, the person that has a conflict, notified the proper body or not. The fact of the matter is there's a conflict. Now, what I'm trying to understand is what remedy there is. And it seems to me that we can't move forward with a recommendation. But what we have to do is either do one of two things: give it to the next highest, or have an impanel another group to do an evaluation.
Right.
Is that correct?
The manner in which you should proceed is either to open up the process for new proposals, if that's what you choose, or to take the proposals that were submitted to appoint a new evaluation panel so that none of the members of the old evaluation panel are on the new panel, have the new panel evaluate all of the proposals and make its recommendations.
Well, it would seem to me that that should be the course that we should be moving in, rather than to award the contract because of the fact that the process was somewhat tainted. And I don't know what, Mr. Hernandez, is it your intent, Mr. Hernandez, to impanel a new group? No, it isn't. All right, tell me what your intent is.
I wanted to ask the city attorney.
All right.
I wanted to ask the city attorney what their recommendation is on that process.
That is their recommendation.
Well, do you recommend that we start the process again?
No.
Our recommendation is that what you need to do is you need to not review the recommendation that's been given to you.
Correct.
Not rely on it.
Right.
To have a new evaluation panel appointed, so that none of the members of this new panel were on the old panel. Have the new panel evaluate the proposals and report back on the
Now, is that the
recommendation.
same proposals or the changed proposals?
Legally, you could go either of those two ways.
But I'm recommending the original, so that everything is even.
Let's, Mr. Alatorre.
No, I'll yield because I want to follow Mr. Hernandez's.
Okay, Mrs. Chick has the floor next.
Well, and I'm waiting for my time to speak because I do want to take some time and asking some questions. I think they're really relevant to other processes too.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I rise to mostly underscore the importance of having the right evaluation done of this program, and to express long-term frustration with how hard it seems to get there. We've had one evaluation that I have been very clear I am not impressed with, that has been done thus far. And colleagues, this is a program, an innovative program, and innovative also in the amount of taxpayer dollars from the city, as well as the law enforcement block grant that we have put into this endeavor. It is essential that we do what is often not done with government programs and public dollars, and that is to take a look at, is the program accomplishing its goals, and if not, to fine-tune it. I'm very dismayed by what has happened and the glitches that have occurred again, and very much dedicated to the process being right. I don't want to see anyone treated unfairly. I don't want to see people serving on panels that perhaps shouldn't have. I want the process to be impeccable, but I also think that expediency is another issue. In addition, I, as a favor, had asked someone that I highly respect to serve on this panel. The retired dean of the USC School of Social Work gave of his time, energy, and talents to help the city come forward with the proper evaluation program. So whatever course we take, colleagues, I urge that it be legally, according to the advice of our city attorney expert, exactly appropriate. And I am very inclined to accept the motion of my colleague, the 7A. I knew it was A. I forgot we're on 7. But I'm interested in hearing from Mr. Hernandez before I cast my vote.
That's very good advice. Do we do things legally here?
Well, Mr. President, sometimes we make mistakes on it. and I don't intend to do it here. Thank you.
Fuhr?
On that last legal point, I have a contrary view I want to... No, Mike, I'll tell you what, if you want to swap time, is Mike next, John?
Yes.
Go ahead, and then I'll speak after you're done.
You know, members of council, what I want to address here is the reality is we have one firm who's been competing very strongly to try and get this evaluation firm. And that particular firm has been frustrated because of the processes, and has been able to prove to us that the process have had flaws, not just once, but more than once. Now, what you need to understand is the Community Development Department, and Gloria Clark, who's overseeing this process, is basically paid by the block grant, not the general fund. And we have had processes like the Human Service Delivery System that has now been impacted because of delays in us trying to get this part done. I'm just trying to explain it because as we were going through department evaluations, one of the reasons why the CDD department has had problems on the Human Service Delivery System deliveries has been because they can't complete this process. And it's not part of what they're getting paid to do. I just want you to be aware of it. Why it is that we can't move on this procedure has been frustrating to me also. I'm trying to explain it because now we're going to go through the same process again with the same, basically, department overseeing it again. We'll correct that. And if we cannot correct it, we're going to end up in the same place without an evaluation. And the program is almost over. And that's been my frustration because what's being proposed is we do the same thing all over again.
Mr. Hernandez, I have a suggestion that speaks to your specific concern, and we've done this in other instances. It would seem to me that in addition to the persons that would be impaneled, perhaps we should add the oversight or involvement of the CLA and/or the CAO, and that would give it a different treatment in terms of the processing of it than has been the case in the last two instances. And if that were the case, I think we can proceed to get this done.
Okay. Well, and the question I want to ask, is there anything to stop us from awarding the contract to I mean, that's the answer I need from the city
Right.
attorney. If the city attorney
Right.
feels there is something to stop us from issuing the award, then I basically have to follow the city attorney's advice, because I do want to make sure it's done right.
That's our advice at this point.
Mr. Fuhrer?
Thanks, Mr. President. I guess, we're to the bottom line here. I think Mr. Ridley Thomas's amendment, I will say, to his motion 7A, which I seconded, I would also second. I think it's a good approach. We all agree we can't award the bid now. It's incredibly frustrating to all of us. Ms. Chick had it right in her description of the importance of a real powerful evaluation component to this experiment, and we still don't have it, and it's driving us nuts. Let's agree about that. The only issue, I think, about which there could be any disagreement at this point in the debate is whether we allow the contractors to amend their bids or not. And I think we shouldn't. And with that, I would say let's move forward with 7A as it's been amended. Let's get a pristine process by which to evaluate the RFPs. And finally, let's get a good, powerful evaluation of the Bridges program in place. And with that, I'll conclude.
Ms. Miskowski?
I want to ask a little bit about the procedure, though. Inasmuch as we had a panel that we thought was a highly qualified panel to evaluate this, the panel began evaluating some of the responses. It was then discovered later on that one of the panelists had a relationship contractually with a subcontractor and one of the other bidders. How do we avoid that? Is there a screen as the panelists start to say these are all the proposers and their subcontractors? And did we not do that in the past? Because it seemed to me that that should be a standard for all the bid processing we do, so that we don't get into this quandary and lose the time and effort and efficiency and professional commitment of the people who are on the panel giving of their time.
Mr. President, if I may, this is one of the issues that did come up, and there ought to have been, and there was not. These are experts in the field wherein the conflict arose, and it could have been either person involved. But the city attorney has recommended that all of the subcontractors involved be called out on one sheet, and each of the persons on the panel will have to then, by some process, say that they have no conflict, so that we won't end up in this situation
It
again.
seems to me that that standard that's going to be exercised in this instance ought to be exercised uniformly.
board.
Transportation contracts,
That's right.
planning contracts, anything else we do in the city, that there isn't that immediate preliminary screen, so that these people who are experts in the field, who are going to be reviewing qualified bidders, make sure that that conflict doesn't exist, so we don't get in having to waste everybody's time.
Right, agreed.
Mrs. Walters?
And that should be a part of the instructions.
Very quickly, I certainly agree with Ms. Miskowski's approach and Mr. Ridley Thomas' approach. We have had these conflicts with other bidders and whether they're allowed to enhance their bid or what constitutes enhancement. And I just think if we have a process that goes across the board and everybody knows what it is, we don't get ourselves into this. And that means all departments know what it is, and it's their responsibility when they ask somebody to serve on a panel evaluating the bids, that they screen for people with any possible conflict. And with that, I would move 7A.
Ridley Thomas?
Question.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that previous question has been posed. Now, what is the motion before us?
7A as amended by Councilmember Ridley Thomas to include the CLA or the CAO on the oversight panel.
Okay. Is there any objections to that? So we have 7. Now, is this going back to committee, Mr. Hernandez, or? Oh, okay. All right, prepare the roll as 7 is amended. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 12, called special by Councilmember Hernandez.
Mr. Hernandez, 12.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the council, the city attorney in this request is asking us to provide a waiver to a firm in regards to a suit that wants, I guess Manette Phelps wants to represent Kojima, who is considering suing us. And Manette Phelps is our attorney also on several matters. And, you know, in light of the experience they're having with the Belmont Learning Center and the potential conflict and a lot of the discussion that's been coming up in regards to the law firm's role, I felt that it was important that we get a greater understanding of what we're being asked to do, because the school district also provided the same kinds of waivers to its legal counsel, and there was clearly now a question by a state panel and other panels about the conflict of and the responsibility of the policymakers giving that waiver. And so I thought it was important for us to have a clear understanding what's pending before us in terms of a lawsuit, and do we want to in fact allow a firm that represents us to represent them.
The firm of Manette Phelps represents the city in a case by the title of Porter versus City of Los Angeles. It's a case involving the demolition of a building after the Northridge earthquake, in which there are issues, first of liability issues regarding the demolition of the building, but also insurance coverage issues. The reason that an outside firm, and specifically Manette Phelps, was brought into that case was because they have expertise in the insurance coverage issues, and they're assisting us with those matters. The case in which Kojima is involved at the harbor is a construction case, and they have, at the completion or close to the completion of the case, they filed a claim alleging that they were due additional compensation. Manette Phelps has been asked to be of counsel, or excuse me, co-counsel on that matter. They have another firm that is the primary counsel, and they've been asked to be co-counsel on that matter as well. The matters are unrelated, do not give rise to any actual conflict, only the potential for a conflict, and for that reason we had recommended that the waiver be granted.
And why wouldn't we be asking Manette Phelps to represent us on that same issue?
They're not representing us on the same issue.
Why, I mean, what's to stop us from doing that? Nothing, right?
Other than we are already being represented by our office on that matter, and we
Right,
would not...
but if this council chose to ask Manette Phelps, because for whatever reason, we wanted that option open, we wouldn't have it, would we, if we grant this waiver?
Correct. If they're already representing the other side, certainly you would not ask, and they would be precluded from providing that representation to us on the same case.
Yeah, and how would we be able to claim, and we just dealt with a conflict of interest, and I'm asking the city attorney, and I know attorneys clearly can see their conflicts and they always disclose them. How would we, is part of that expertise that they're being asked to bring to the lawsuit their potential relationship that already exists with the city?
In the Porter case, I'm sorry?
Well, I know we've hired Manette Phelps for a variety of reasons. We've hired them for a variety of reasons, and it's no secret that they're also known because of their political understanding of processes. But I'm just asking, could that be part of the reason why Kojima would like them to represent him?
I have no idea why Kojima requested it. I suppose that could be part of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just want to be heard on 12. If not, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is
Excuse me,
approved.
10 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved. All right, next item.
Item number 34, you have a card?
Yeah, we have Ed Kalish, and Jim Wilson. Russ Butow, Richard Slauson, do you people want to be heard or not?
My name is Ed Kalish, and I represent the Southern California Contractors Association. I have been an engineering contractor for over 35 years. It is apparent that there are frightening inroads being made by public entities to ignore and bypass legislative statutes which clearly establish agencies from becoming contracting organizations. Consistently, they claim to be able to do work more economically than private industry, After over 35 years in the industry, I do not believe this to be true. Additionally, public works statutes have been established between construction management associations, labor unions, and the California legislature, creating the best public works construction industry in the nation. The deviation of these safeguards will destroy competition and destroy valuable craftsmen that were trained through collective bargaining agreements. It is also my opinion that taxpayers receive the best value from competitive bidding. Further, it is SCCA's position that this trend of public agencies becoming construction entities can create collusion, favoritism, lack of accurate cost controls, and especially quality construction safeguards. Thank you.
Jim Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman Ferraro and members of the City Council. My name is Jim Wilson. I'm the chapter manager of the National Electrical Contractors Association in Los Angeles. We represent over 300 independent electrical contracting companies who employ over 6,000 employees through Los Angeles County. Approximately a year ago, our association developed a task force to look into the deregulation issue in California. As many of you are aware, California was one of the first states to totally deregulate. And after investigating this deregulation issue, we came to the conclusion this is the biggest change affecting our 300 companies and 6,000 employees to come along in 40 or 50 years. What we object to is entities like the DWP, who is not deregulated now, entering into private business. It will force independent contractors who have been doing the work in the city out of business. Why should the DWP enter into private contracting business when they're a utility company? What will happen to these contractors that provide service to the city when they go out of business? What will happen to the tax base? What will happen to their employees? Also, for example, what will DWP do when they enter a private business? Will the city go after them for liquidated damages, in essence suing themselves? I think if you look at this in the long run and analyze this, the seriousness of the Department of Water and Power entering into private contracting business and its ramifications will have tremendous ripple effects throughout the county. I think you should look into this policy. I think you should investigate it. And in the spirit of the upcoming Star Wars, look at the dark side of this movement of DWP in the private industry. Thank you.
Russ Buteau and then Richard Slauson.
Good morning. My name is Russ Buteau. I'm the Assistant Business Manager for IB.
You can say good afternoon now.
Oh, good afternoon. Oh, it's that late. I'm Russ Buteau. I'm the Assistant Business Manager for IBW Local 18. This position that I'm hearing and what I've been reading and hearing about DWP entering into outside contracts, they are allowed to do it. I represent the people that do the work for them. We have shown through the years that the IBW Local 18 members have done this work throughout the city, within the department. We do it on time, and we can do it as cheap or cheaper than others. This is a competitive bid on these jobs that are going on within the city. It's legal for us to do this work. We use the building trades people right now. We have approximately 140 of them on our property working for us in conjunction with the IBW members that already are employed at DWP. We see no reason that we cannot do this work. It's an air conditioning, it's trenching, it's wires, it's our type of work. It's what we're good at that nobody else can do better than us. And I think if you looked at the record, I think the council members that have been around here a long time know what we can do. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Slauson.
Council members, Richard Slauson, Executive Secretary of the Los Angeles Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council. Just to give you a little bit of history, the Building and Construction Trades Council craft unions have had an agreement with the Department of Water and Power for over 70 years to provide skilled craftspeople. Their titles were daily rated civil service and daily rated exempt positions. We have had, at times, 20 or 30 people working for the Department of Water and Power. At other times, we've had 700, 800, over 1,000 craftspeople working for the Department of Water and Power, but always building projects for the Department of Water and Power, either power stations, water facilities that were being brought online for the Department of Water and Power business and for the use of the citizens of the city of Los Angeles, or ratepayers who contract with the Department of Water and Power. What is happening now is apparently the Department of Water and Power has decided that because of competition that's being brought forth because of deregulation, that they are going into other businesses, as are other public utilities like Edison, Southern California Gas, I guess eventually Pacific Gas and Electric, and other entities who, as long as they separate these businesses from the income they derive from rate payments, can go into any business just as any other private entity can. But now what is happening is DWP is saying we're going to become a contractor. No longer are we going to build facilities just for the Department of Water and Power, water-related facilities, power-related facilities, which none of us have any objection for. We are going to start contracting with other entities. Not only have they recently proposed an agreement to provide craftspeople to do electrical installations on property of the Los Angeles Unified School District, but they've also contracted recently with the Metropolitan Transit Authority to actually build a train station. The concrete installations, the structural steel installations, the lighting, the fixtures, the roofing, all of the various aspects of a construction project that are in no way related to the sale, production of power or water. The contractors are very concerned about this. Is a government agency subsidized through ratepayers going to go into competition with private industry? Now, in 1996, the citizens of Los Angeles passed a resolution that's a charter amendment that said that the Department of Water and Power should compete with other utilities. And then in 97, the council approved a administrative code change that said that they should compete with other public utilities so that they remain profitable. But it also had a caveat along with that that said that contracts should be, in our opinion, power-related or water-related, and that each contract must be approved by the city council. Now, we have asked for time to speak on this because we're concerned of the direction. I mean, there's not a lot of contracting going on right now by the Department of Water and Power, but it is going in a direction that is to be in direct competition with private industry, and that's why we've asked for clarification. That's why we've asked if these contracts that have been entered into have been approved by the City Council, and would like to hear the report from the Department of Water and Power.
Okay,
thank you very much.
All right, can we hit Mr. Freeman? Would you want to say something, or would you have Frank say it?
Thank you, sir. The allegations of initiative and enterprise on the part of the department are grossly exaggerated. It might be an interesting conversation if we really were embarking on all of these ventures, but we're not. There are two items mentioned in the motion, and each of them are activities that we have undertaken in response to requests from the entities in the city. And we do not have a policy of going out and competing with private enterprise, and we got enough to do providing electric power and water on a reasonable basis. As we move into the competitive era, you know, there may be other things in the future, such as fiber optics and others that our customers will want from us. There's certainly efficiency services, but we do not go out and bid. We have not bid on any of these projects. We have two instances. One, a metropolitan transit district, a Metrolink station that we started doing after the earthquake in response to requests, and we finished up. And we're still negotiating with the school board. These negotiations could go on forever. But we don't have a contract with the school board. This was part of a bid that was made, frankly, in cooperation with the gas company before I got here, and we tried to put air conditioners in for the summer of '98, and it doesn't look like we're going to get them in for the summer of '99. But we haven't signed any contract, and I'm doubtful that we'll end up with a contract with them. I understand what Mr. Slauson and others are saying, but we haven't committed these sins, and we feel that this is a non-issue as far as the department's concerned right now.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. I noticed that Mr. Freeman responded very narrowly to the questions. You qualified your responses with, "This is what we're doing right now," and you responded to the two items in the motion. I did not hear an adequate response to what Mr. Slauson and other speakers had indicated. Now, I don't think that whether you bid for it, the job or not, I don't think the motion of the council authorized you to go into the construction business for building a light rail transit station. And I don't think it authorized you to do more than just install provide electric service for the school district for a period of 5 years, and that period renewable for an additional 5 years. The bid to the school district, if we can call it that, or the arrangement with the school district, was brought about by some so-called BB so-called oversight authority or overseers who felt that by the DWP working with the gas company, that in a consortium, that would provide the school district with a reduced cost electricity. And I understand that the school district has some concerns about that, whether it really is reduced cost and what it is precisely that you're providing. But my concern here is that whether or not DWP is sticking to its core business, that of providing electricity and water service to residents of the city of Los Angeles, and not going off on an entrepreneurial bent after you've gotten rid of all those staff people over there, then you're going to suddenly go into another kind of business. The next thing I know, I'll be hearing that you're out painting houses, and I want to know what the department's response to that is.
This is a request to report back to us. You want to make some comments now, or you just want?
And I'd like a request, to add to the request, Mr. President, that we hear from the city attorney on the legality of DWP entering into these other kinds of businesses.
Yes.
We do have an opinion from the city attorney's office that we could offer for the record at this time, which indicated that what we were doing was legal, but we'd be happy to provide a full written report at appropriate
All right,
time.
Mr. Hernandez?
You know, members of the council, the only reason I rise is because I heard the debate, and I think we need to understand the era of competition, and the reality is we're not talking about DWP competing with the private sector, the contract association, so forth. We're talking about competing with other utilities that are privately versus publicly owned utilities. I want to point out that it was with a lot of, from my perspective, pride, that I look at the department as leading the way in the development, hopefully, of a non-gas leaf blower. And much of that work was stimulated by the department and happened through the process of dealing with contractors who do that kind of work. I also need to point out that when we talk about the electric vehicle, the department was one of the first departments to take its position in the state of California to try and create incentives for that to happen. Yes, we do have a world now that includes fiber optics. It does include a lot of other modes of communication, but the backbone for a fiber optic system in the city of Los Angeles is part of the natural network that the department already has. Now, if the railroad could use the right-of-way of a pipeline to allow for fiber optics to go in, why can't the department? Now, I'm just kind of throwing it out because I think the gist of what's before us is the opportunity to explore those kinds of ventures, is the opportunity to see how it is that we can use the expertise of the department, the mission of the department, to enhance our systems that currently exist that ultimately benefit the ratepayers of the city of Los Angeles. And so I just kind of want to try and put it in perspective, because I don't see us out there building skyscrapers. I don't see us out there doing the stuff other entities are doing, but rather the department enhancing what it does in a way where it benefits the ratepayers of the city of Los Angeles.
All right, thank you. Mr. Alatorre, did you want to be heard on this? Okay, let's, no. Okay, all right, prepare the roll on 34A and B, 34 as amended, because no one's objecting to those two motions. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. We'll send that forthwith, too. Next item,
Item number 37, called special.
37. Laura Chick, we want to adopt this, and you have...
Yes, Mr. President, I just briefly want to draw our attention to this. Again, I am introducing a resolution today to supplement the motion from yesterday, this time calling on other municipalities to join the City of Los Angeles and to request from the California Air Resources Board, the California Energy Commission, to communicate to local governments the facts about this outrageous rise in gasoline prices, and very much doing this based on the following assumption, that when we all sit as individuals or as public officials with our hands folded in our lap, while such price increases are occurring without asking questions, without seeking accurate information, without seeking to arm our constituents with the information they need, then we become part of the problem. There is no rational explanation on the table yet. This resolution calls on other governments to join us in getting the information that we need. So I urge a unanimous vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, prepare the roll on 37. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item,
Item number 38, called special. It requires 8 votes.
all right, Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. President and members, I would move that this item be sent back to the Budget and Finance Committee where it's been. The reason why it hasn't been heard is because we're waiting to have it heard in relationship to the budget and see what impact a motion like this would have. And I think that it would be inappropriate for us to move today to deal with this issue when we have a hole in the budget and we don't know what fiscal impact it's going to have until we hear it in relationship to the budget. So I would ask for an aye vote to have it sent back to committee.
All right, Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. This motion was heard in Budget and Finance Committee when neither Mr. Fuhrer nor I were present. It was sent to the Ad Hoc Budget Committee, which has yet to meet. We voted as a council last year that to say to the mayor that no more special parking revenue funds should be utilized for non-designated uses, not to balance the budget and all of that sort of thing, or utilizing it for street lights, which was not set out in the ordinance that created, or the law that created the special parking revenue funds. I believe it's important to say to the mayor today to ask for information on what is he planning to do this year with that money, the money that we set here, all of us, I believe it was a unanimous vote at last year's budget, to take action this way and to see that it was not utilized for the budget. The year before that, we all fumed and kind of fussed about it and thought that it wouldn't be in the 98 budget. That was 97, but it came back in the 98 budget. And now here we are with the 99 budget on our doorsteps, and it's still possible that that may be utilized as a technique in the budget. And I think that for that reason, I'm asking that it be withdrawn from committee, that we have a discussion on it here, and then determine upon that discussion whether we vote for the ordinance or whether we send the mayor a letter reminding him of this and asking him to inform us of it. None of us have seen any of the budget, or at least I don't think any of us have seen the budget. I don't know about the president or Mr. Alatorre, but I don't think any of the rest of us have been privy to the budget mechanisms. And I think this is important enough, council members, particularly those council members that have parking-related projects planned in their districts, that we find out what the mayor's goals are, what he is planning to do this year after the motion that we made before. So I would move that we vote aye on the Rule 54 and bring it to the table here for discussion today.
Berg.
Yes. My concern really was very similar to that just expressed. We're talking about a lawsuit also, remember, that we all were involved in, that said that there are only certain eligible uses for these funds. It's my understanding that what we're contemplating here today, if we do the Rule 54, is limiting the use of these funds to those things which can be legally used, and removing from the administrative code some of the things that got us into trouble, such as policing the meters, which may not be an eligible use. Now, I'm not interested in us going, and the reason I'm worried about this happening now and not later is because if in fact, as it says, the fiscal impact is about $11 million, then those preparing the budget ought to know that before we get there, rather than have a budget that comes in assuming that $11 million can be used that can't be used. I just think that that's the wrong way to do it, is to wait until the budget's here and then try to figure out what $11 million you're going to cut out of it. It's better to know that in advance, which is why I seconded this. My concern is that we ended up with a settlement in that lawsuit, but there's virtually nothing to prevent us from being sued anew if we do not, in fact, change some of the rules about how parking funds may be used to more conform to what people believe is the nature of this fund and what all of us think is the nature of this fund. So those are my concerns. Timing is an issue, because if we wait until the budget is before us, then I think we've been unfair. We have not given information to the mayor's office that there might be an $11 million difference, which is what the analysis seems to be, and that's bringing it on someone after the budget's been prepared. That's why I think it's better to make a decision one way or the other now.
Mr. Hernandez?
Mr. President, members of council, I think there's some people here from the Department of Transportation, and they might want to come up, because my understanding, and I think we're all facing it in our districts, is that there isn't enough parking in the city of Los Angeles. And that's what this fund was basically designated for. I know that we just recently saw, I think, a item in Plum in Councilmember Fuhr's district dealing with a parking structure that's going along the river corridor, and we were talking about some of the enhancements. When I'm dealing with the Pasadena Light Rail, I've been told time and time again by the Department of Transportation that there is no monies that we can depend on for purposes of that transit corridor and the economic development structures that we need in terms of parking. And so when I look at the ordinance that we're trying to deal with, the reality is, my understanding is there isn't enough money for that. When we talk about the complexity of bringing in an NFL football team, the question of parking is real, and how it is that we deal with it with the museum and the Coliseum, and lo and behold, if a baseball stadium was to be built there. But the reality is, again, when we're dealing with the convention center and the Staples Center and downtown LA and the restaurants, parking is a major problem in the city of Los Angeles. And we cannot deny the fact that it's now impacting the residential neighborhoods. And that's what this fund is supposed to be used for. And so I want to also support the motion because I believe we need to separate our priorities. We need to understand that this money has to be used to facilitate parking, not only for the customers of businesses, but also for the residents in which are impacted by those businesses. And that's not what's happening. And in my district, where I have a tremendous problem with parking, I don't have parking meter monies to make projects happen that will alleviate those parking needs.
Mr. Alatorre?
Mr. President and members, you know, the 29th is upon us. Next week, the mayor is going to be presenting his budget. There is nothing that is lost by having this. You know, Ms. Walters is on the ad hoc committee, Ms. Goldberg is on the ad hoc committee. We can deliberate on it then and make an intelligent decision at that point. Right now, I mean, we can shoot ourselves in the foot without even knowing what we're doing. And maybe police aren't going to be as important, maybe libraries aren't going to be as important, and other things aren't going to be as important, but let us do it in some context. And there is nothing that is lost by having this dealt with in committee when we have the budget before us, so that we have the choices that we have to make, and it's made in an intelligent manner. So, I mean, I don't know what is, you know, why we're in such a hurry. I made it very clear to Ms. Walters why it was that we were going to hold it, and we were putting it in there so that we could have it heard in context with the budget. Nothing has changed. The budget is going to be before us. The mayor's going to be introducing it next week. We're going to know by that time. And I just think that we should at least, if we're going to do it, let us just wait. We're going to have it heard. If you want it heard at the beginning, we'll have it heard at the beginning. But let's do it in relationship to something. I still would ask that this motion be sent to the ad hoc committee on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are really, you know, there are procedurally two issues here. One is to vote on the Rule 54, and the other is to vote on the underlying ordinance. And what's before us first is whether to vote on the Rule 54 at all. I think, even if only as a symbolic gesture, it's important to support Ms. Walters on the Rule 54. As to the underlying ordinance itself, of course we have to consider the impact of such an ordinance in the context of our budget. But I have found from sitting on the budget committee over the course of time that it's not a good forum in which to enact legislation that pertains to the long term. It's a good opportunity for us to address the issues of a given fiscal year and some long-term implications of that budget. But the legislation is not going to fit well there in and of itself. I think that it's important to support the Rule 54. To vote on the underlying ordinance today in this body would, I think, be premature. But I think sending the message that collectively as a body, we consider this policy to be an important policy, the broad one that's embedded in the underlying ordinance, is a good message for the ad hoc committee and the budget to hear. We can deal then with the underlying issue of the ordinance in that committee. Maybe we say we want such an ordinance to take effect immediately and the committee comes back to the council. Maybe we say it takes effect a year from now in the context Mr. Alatorre refers to. But let's support Ms. Walters on the first procedural step today and then see where we go.
Mr. Savornich?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I find this argument a little disingenuous today, and I think we should adhere to the request of the budget chairman. On Tuesday, the budget is going to be out. The mayor's office has been working on the budget for the last so many months, and today, 5 days before the budget's out, we're going to put a $40 million hole right in the middle of the budget. That's what our actions are today if we go ahead and Rule 54. The other thing to which I find rather disingenuous, that when it comes for certain colleagues among this horseshoe to protect their own piggy bank in regards to parking revenue funds, they'll wholeheartedly support the interests of their own district in protecting that money. But for the last 6 years, when you've taken $90 million away from the Port of Los Angeles and given it to the general fund, nobody says boo. We just take it, much to my objection. So one of the things to which I have a great problem is that here we are about to go into the budget process. We have a budget that I'm sure for all practical purposes are in place. And what you would ask the mayor's budget team to do is to prioritize prior to the budget coming out, and in 5 days, redo the whole budget and do triage in regards to the budget in 5 days, rather than allowing a consideration of this to go before the ad hoc budget committee where the two makers of the motion sit anyway. And so I think it would be rather unfair and preposterous at this time to go ahead and take this type of action. I would ask for a no vote on the Rule 54, and I think we should listen to the budget chairman and send it back to committee.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
What got Mr. Savornich all worked up, I wonder, huh? Tell us how you really feel, Mr. Savornich.
He didn't have my dessert yet.
Let him have his dessert first, will you?
I'm happy.
Mr. President, I would move the previous question on item 54 and removal of item 54 from committee.
Okay. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And that is approved. Now we have the matter before us to withdraw. Prepare the roll on.
Mr. President, I would ask for an opportunity for some discussion on this at this point. For several.
We just moved the previous question that's cut off
I thought
debate.
all right, we cut off debate.
Yeah,
We voted on that.
yeah, yes. We voted on the previous question. Now we have Rule 54 before us. Prepare the roll on the,
This is outrageous.
prepare and
And I vote.
remove it from the committee.
If I can remove it,
Tabulate the vote.
8 ayes, 3 noes.
Okay, that passed. Now,
right.
now we're going to send it to committee?
No. Now I'd like to, this is the appropriate time to request some discussion. I'd like to be heard at this moment, please.
All right, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Alatorre mentioned that he had made it very clear to me about this. Mr. Alatorre may have written a letter that I didn't receive because he certainly had no conversation with me about this. May I finish, please? And speaking of last-minute items, let me review with you, council members, a timeline of this request. In May 1997, the Ad Hoc Budget and Finance Committee instructed the CLA and city attorney to revise the special parking revenue fund to limit eligible expenditures from the fund. A year later, in April 1998, the CLA released a report to Budget and Finance Committee recommending that the SPRF not be amended at that time because of pending litigation, and requested the mayor to limit use of the special parking revenue fund in preparation of the 98-99 and 99-2000 budget. This was a year ago, April 1998. We also, at that time, instructed the city attorney to report back with a proposed ordinance when terms of the settlement agreement are met. And as you know, we settled that months ago. In May 1998, the full council adopted the CLA report. In December 1998, the CLA released the report with proposed ordinance from the city attorney. In January 1999, I say again that neither Mr. Fuhrer nor I were at the meeting. The Budget and Finance Committee referred the CLA report to the Ad hoc Committee on the budget. So this is not something that occurred 5 days before the budget is upon us. This occurred 2 years ago before this budget was upon us. The council has not only considered this over the past 2 years, but we have also, by the adoption of the Budget and Finance report, asked the mayor to limit specifically the use of that money in last year's budget and this year's budget. And the annual receipts from that fund in 1997-98 were $23 million, another $23.7 in 98-99, and varying amounts for the districts who have parking meters throughout the city. So council members, I would ask you at the very least today, if you do not feel comfortable adopting the ordinance, that you transmit a letter from the council reminding the mayor of the actions that have been taken heretofore and request him to abide by those prior decisions of the council.
Your time is up. Ms. Chick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of Councilmember Walters. I very much remember earlier and appreciate the chronology refreshing, but remember that on many occasions we have taken a look at this issue and at this source of funds. I also remember, without Mr. Zavornich reminding us, that we have robbed the Harbor Department. Here we are, a city council with a mayor who very much wants to advance economic development in the city. The harbor and the airport, which also has had money siphoned off, are two of the most driving economic engines to help us develop economically. In addition, we were all quite supportive, I believe it was Mr. Fuhrer's initiative, to limit our debt, and created a policy to be careful about that and to hold our feet to the fire. And I think, from the experience that I've had here in the past 5.5 years, that unfortunately we policymakers seem to need these kinds of rules and regulations to keep our hands from sneaking over to the cookie jar in tough times. So I don't think that this is being brought forward so close to the budget by accident. I think that there were attempts to have this policy firmly in place before, and that certainly it makes sense to do now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chick. Ms. Mizakowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with my colleagues that this is something that is long overdue. We had discussed it. There's a concern about the legitimacy and the finite nature of parking revenue for parking purposes, and I think that's what this ordinance accomplishes. However, I also think that inasmuch as we are as close to the budget as we are, we should not send this back to committee. I think we should lay this on the desk, not adopt the ordinance today, but have it brought up concurrent with the budget items of the committee reports, so that as we are looking and weighing the budget and the financial implications, all of which we don't know yet, I agree that we should send the letter to the mayor, but let's leave this on the desk as we are discussing the budget, so that as we take the action, whatever it will take on the matter of the budget, that this is before us to be adopted. I think it's the council's intent to adopt it. We've made that clear, but just because of perhaps the awkwardness of being as close to the budget as we are now with this action, that if we lay it on the desk, keep it, bring it back in council, not send it to committee for the date when the budget deliberations are going on, we can wrap it all up together in a comprehensive package, knowing what our financial situation is, knowing the options that are before us, and adopt the ordinance at that time.
Is that a motion, Cindy?
Yes, I move that
I
we...
will second.
All right, Mr. Hernandez.
I move for the previous question.
All right, the previous question has been called. Open the roll on the previous question. Close the roll.
10 ayes.
All right, previous question has been called. What do we have before us?
Councilmember Miskowski's motion
All right, and the motion is,
to bring this back concurrently with the budget and to just not refer it to committee, but to bring it back for budget consideration with the budget.
And send the letter, yes.
all right,
Of the council.
all right, on the motion. Ms. Walters asked for an aye vote and asked for a no vote. Open the roll. Close the roll.
8 ayes, 2 noes.
All right. The motion is adopted. Next item.
Item number, the closed session item, item number 40, the city attorney is requesting that be referred back to them.
All right, that item will be, if there's no objection, that item will be referred back to the city attorney. Mr. Zavornich.
Will you please record me as a no vote on the last vote? I was distracted by staff.
All right. Well, fine, then I'll ask for and then you want to, come on. Move reconsideration.
I move reconsideration on the last item.
Fine, there's, on reconsideration, there's a motion to reconsider. Open the roll.
No vote.
Fine.
Item to reconsider.
Close the roll.
Motion.
4
No
ayes,
vote.
6 noes.
What's that?
4 ayes, 6 noes.
All right. The motion is not reconsidered. All right, next item.
Item number 41, called special.
All right, item 41. Who called that special? Mr. Ferraro has left. All right. Item 41. Is there any questions on item 41? It was continued from yesterday. I don't know.
We'll continue to another.
41 was just a recommendation from the Environmental Quality and Waste Management on making some changes and improvements on our sewer service charge with winter rates, allowing people who move in to adjust it based on the families that have moved in when there is no rate based in the previous household, and to give credit for low-flow toilet flushing, et cetera. So it's just a refinement of the existing winter rate service usage as because we've had a year or two of using it now, and it's to give benefits where specifically the Bureau of Sanitation and the department have recommended it based on these recommendations that can be specifically calculated.
Yes. Ms. Goldberg.
Just a question. Since it's a zero-sum game, and since some people will have their rates reduced, does that mean other people will have their rates increased?
No, this will actually cost the Sewer Service Construction Fund approximately $100,000 annually. We do have the staff here to answer it specifically.
I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Maybe we can have somebody from the department. Maybe they can answer that question.
It'll cost the sewer service fund $100,000.
By making the adjustment based on real usage of water.
But does that answer the question of increase versus
So what
decrease?
happens to that loss of $100,000?
Good morning. There is none because it's new service. Good morning. Shahram Karagani from Sanitation. The $100,000 in our board report, we are just only advancing that. Once you install ultra-low flush toilet, that means it's just a matter of time before you receive your rebate. We are not planning to increase the rate for rest of our customers. So it is a neutral change to our system.
Okay, so the system will just have $100,000 less in it?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I've been informed that we don't have a quorum. So, Mr. Kerr is left and there's no quorum. Oh, there he is. Very good.
You want to
All right, Mr. Burnson.
Yeah, I don't have a problem supporting this, but it still begs the question of where our request is for a audit of the sewer service charges, which has been long
Mr. Burnson,
overdue.
that was in committee on Monday, jointly recommended by Government Efficiency and Environmental Quality, and will be brought to the council as soon as we, in fact, I think it was...
That's not the study, that's just to go ahead with it.
That's
Is
the
that-
contract to award, so the study can get
Okay.
started.
I hate to tell you how long this has been in making. It's way before you were on the council.
All
right?
But it started
Mr.
moving.
Hernandez.
But it started moving when she got here.
Thank
see.
you, Mr. Ridley Thomas.
She was here before any
That's
of us.
right.
Thank you.
I want to cut to the chase. We had a tremendous debate on this council floor where basically several of us walked out and broke a quorum because we were increasing rates.
Don't remind certain
we were
people of that,
increasing rates
Mr.
in some
Hernandez.
areas and decreasing
I'm trying to
rates in
live that
others.
down yet still.
All right, excuse me.
Yeah, and because of that debate, when I hear the words revenue neutral, which I even have a hard time saying, what that told me was we're going to increase the rates of apartment dwellers, we're going to increase the rates of low-income people, so that we could reduce the rates of people who lived in large single-family homes and had swimming pools. And I had a problem with that, because there's no swimming pools in my district. Now, you're telling me that this will not impact low-income people in any way, except in a positive way.
The low-income people rate would not change. They still would receive the 31% discount, and the rate is going to stay the same.
But hopefully they'll get some of these credits.
If they install ultra-low flush toilet, yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we have that clear. Okay.
All right. Anybody else want to be heard on this item? If not, open the roll, close the roll.
10 ayes.
All right, that motion is adopted. Next item.
Special one, motion brought in by Councilmember Burnson. The city attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
All right, on the findings.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
City Attorney.
The Kiwanis Club wishes to put up American flags on Reseda Boulevard on April 17th in support of the 3 members of the armed
Okay.
forces that are being held. And the council office was contacted yesterday. This motion would declare the event a special event, waive the fees, and
Very
ask
good.
Public
All
Works to
right,
provide
any
assistance.
questions on the findings? Open the roll on the findings. Close the roll.
10 ayes.
All right, the findings have been adopted. Next, the matters before us, any questions? Open the roll. Close the roll.
10 ayes.
All right, that motion is adopted forthwith. If there's no objection, that'll be the order. Next item.
Before you go into closed session, Mr. President, you have motions for posting and referral.
All right, there's no objection? That'll
And
be
now
the
you
order.
have closed session.
All right, now we have one item in closed session. So, all right, is there a urgency on the closed session item? Can it be,
We brought this in at Mr. Fuhr's request to update the council on the Baykeepers lawsuit.
And, Mr. President, I guess there is no urgency in the narrow sense that we have to hear it today for legal purposes. We've had our friends, Ms. Wilson and others have been here for a long time, but there is no literal urgency today.
what is the pleasure? All right, there's a motion to continue. Is there any objection? That'll be the order. All right, next item?
The desk is clear.
Could I ask that item 31, 32, 30, 31, and 32 be forthwith?
All right, items 31 and 32.
At
There's
30.
no objection forthwith. That'll be the order. All right, any adjourning resolutions? 38 forthwith. If there's no objection, that'll be the order. All right, Mr. Burnson, everybody please rise. Everybody please stand for adjourning
Yes,
resolutions.
I'd ask that we'd adjourn in memory of Violet Sundberg. She passed away last December. I just learned of it yesterday. She's survived by her husband of 65 years, John Sundberg, and they were residents of North Hills. Thank you.
Okay.
65.
Any other adjourning resolutions?
No. Husband of
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Mr. President, members of the council, would you join me in adjourning in memory of Carlos Aristi, who is the brother of Father Fernando Aristi, who is the associate pastor of the St. Bridget Church in the 8th Council District. And many of us know Father Fernando as a muralist and an activist for those causes that make our communities a better place in which to live.
Okay.
Mr. Aristi is survived by his wife, one daughter, and one son, and they certainly have our condolences.
All right, any other adjourning resolutions? If not, clerk will call the roll.
All right. Mr. President, announcement?
For an announcement before we adjourn.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to
Right.
announce that the Joint Committee